Okay, what you're seeing here is really an ideal time to pull your ferment. Very, very small amount. There's really very small amount of whey pockets showing. You're better off to pull it out at this level. You'll figure it out more based on time. I actually had this one out 2 different times within 24 hours. I had it in the refrigerator, then I took it out for probably an hour and a half to 2 hours last night. Then I took it out, put it in the refrigerator, and then took it back out this morning for about maybe an hour, half hour, and I could see that it was starting to change like that, and pretty well, as you can see it going down towards the bottom. You can see it, you look real closely, you can also see a little bit of a whey pocket in the bottom. So it's got a pretty good progression from top to bottom. A little bit of whey here. Yeah, so that way when you strain it out, you want to strain it out a little bit before. It might not be the thickest when you strain it out, but that's better if you don't want it to get sour and start to turn to whey. Well, after this will drain out, then I put this in the refrigerator for about, I drink some of it right away because there's a different taste, texture, and flavor when it's fresh. Also a lot more carbonation from the bubbles. So that's really good right away. A lot of times I'll save half of it for later because that does change the taste. The bubbles will reduce as it sits in the refrigerator, obviously, so you get less carbonation, less fizziness. I really like the fizziness. It changes the flavor a little bit too. So that's not really a second ferment. A second ferment would be leaving it out on the counter warm for another day. That's never done with this method. This method, it's done right away. It's ready to use. We're putting it in the refrigerator to store it and to chill it down, give it a little time to thicken up more. Mostly from getting cold and just setting. That many grains and 16 ounces of milk, it's fermented out. So that's the plan there. So again, we do not second ferment using this method. It's unnecessary. It's ready to use right away. Typically, I refrigerate it for storage mainly because I'm not going to drink it all right away. This kefir, you really don't want to let it store for a long time. It's meant to be used right away and freshly. That's the way I like it. It's not something I would leave sitting in the refrigerator for a week. I mean, you make fresh kefir to have fresh kefir. So I like to have it fresh, pretty much strained and used within a day. No sense in anything else. It's best that way. Especially if you over ferment it and it separates to whey. If you leave it sit for a long time, it's just going to separate more. Obviously your flavors change with the amount of fermentation that you do and the temperatures of the fermentation. The warmer temps will give you more yeasty typically. It helps the grains. The grains also will grow a little bit more when it's warm. You got to keep up with feeding them more. A lot of the reason I put it in the refrigerator is to slow things down because I just don't have time to keep up with it. I mean, it's just way more production than I need, and you can't just leave it out. I mean, I don't have all day to be around here. It's just me, so I can only drink so much of this per day. Plus I'm using raw milk, so I'm kind of not really limited, but I try to only use like 2 gallons a week. I go about an hour round trip to pick it up. I mean, I could get 3 gallons, but I might have to go back up to 3 gallons soon. But, you know, I don't need more than I need because I don't want it sitting around. Maybe one day I don't feel like drinking kefir. Well, then I start to get a backlog. That's one reason that you have the refrigerator. Just to put things on pause and slow things down. So when you take these grains, what you're doing, putting it in the refrigerator, is slowing down your ferment, because it progresses very quickly otherwise at room temperature or warmer. So this enables you to slow down the ferment so that you have time to catch it before it gets out of control, over ferments, turns to a bunch of whey. It's typically not what we want every day. It becomes a problem. Soon, actually, the next video, I will really soon make a video more describing all the process, because the videos I've done on the process and more information on the kefir codes was done quite a few years ago, so I'm going to do an updated version of that. Try to get everything kind of included for a better understanding of what you're looking at when starting kefir, because it is pretty much normal for people starting out to start having a lot of problems after a few weeks to a month, and you're pretty much lost. A lot of people quit, give up, move on. So it's just some basic information you need to understand regarding the grain ratio, temperatures, and the time that it sits out. Each one of those factors contributes in its own way. You can adjust either one around and get all at the same result. One's not necessarily better than other, but always using a lot of grains is always better because you have more kefir. And especially if you're using raw milk, that helps prevent you having any issues with other bacteria in the milk gaining control. So there's a lot more to explain. I will try to make a better video about all that in one video, so you don't have to try to go through some of my older videos where I tried to break it down. So, alright guys, I gotta go for the day. Y'all have a good one. Enjoy your kefir. Happy kefiring.